All right, let me put my password in. My dad is probably going to FaceTime us anytime soon, so if ever that happens, just play it cool. Cool. Boom. Yes. All right. So, hey, I'm Greg. Thank you, Montreal in Motion, for having us. Thank you, Power Film. It's really cool to be here. I'm a designer and a director from Geneva, Switzerland, currently based in London, but I've been living in Montreal for 6 years, and it's during those 6 years that I kind of developed my style and kind of messed around a lot with invisible fishing line and kind of gypsy techniques. So, so basically, I'm a designer, art director. Then I became a CG artist. Then I became a stop frame animator. Then I became a director, and I have a brief history as a music producer and a rapper. So that's why I kind of wear like a sideways hat on my head, because I kind of like the thing, you know. So basically, yeah, I love, you know, surrealism. I love using design in my work and putting it in a three-dimensional space. And I think most importantly, I love working with special effects that are all done in camera, or most of them. That means no CGI, or very little of it. And since I'm a Swiss graphic designer, I try to incorporate that in all of my work, which could get a little weird sometimes, like chocolate milk legs tapping to the beat. That was shot in my living room, and it's making a massive mess. Someone inflating his own head, you know, why not? Destroying a collector edition television. Having hands coming out of a flower pot as a symbolic portrayal of the Arab Spring in Bahrain. Am I too loud, actually? Is that okay? I feel like I'm like back in my MC days. So here we have two boxers hitting a punching ball. You know, it could also be seen as a critique of the adult entertainment industry somehow. And here we have my girlfriend wasting lots of celery. So I mean, the hard part is me explaining to my parents what I do, because they're just like, what? You know, like, why would I spend 2 weeks building a miniature supermarket only to destroy it afterwards, for example? Or why would I have a security guard coming and French kissing a golden triangular canvas before the canvas rejects him with 8 liters of gold paint? So this isn't CGI, you know, and that's what I kind of like. It's that sort of thrill of experimentation, you know? I mean, Cinema 4D can do so many things now, but this is like the key shot of a music video I did for Passion Pit, and we only had one take. We bought all the child-friendly gold paint we could find in Montreal. We only had one big balloon, and this is the only take we had, and we're lucky it worked. So check out the mechanism. Oh yeah, there's no sound. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's not clever, it's not stable, and we're really lucky that it worked. And for those of you who know, this is a Simon Duhamel of Made a Still Studio. And so he just lent us his brand new studio. He just finished painting the walls. Yeah, you can borrow it. So we melted wax all over the floor. We had fern leaves everywhere. We made the fire alarms go off because we were burning a canvas. But then this explosion, obviously, for those of you who know Simon, you can tell that when he does that look. So that's kind of what I do. I like having fun. I'm like a big child. I like destroying things and doing weird things. So this is like an average day at my studio. This is what happens. We kind of do strange things with prosthetic hands. So these hands, I got them from China. I don't know if you guys can read. I'll spell it out for you. These are top quality silicone gloves for cross-dressing transvestites. And this is the kind of stuff I usually order to kind of experiment with. And my accountant, because I order them with my company account, he's like, oh my God, why are you ordering this, you know? So I kind of like driving him crazy. And in the end, actually, these hands didn't work. So we, luckily enough, I got the production designer from Alien Covenant to come and recreate some hands. So this is a sneak peek of my new short film that's coming out really soon. And this is basically a handshake for world peace that goes terribly wrong. It's kind of disgusting, actually. Um, this is another sneak peek for my new film, using like printed lycra to create a basketball court, which is really fun. And then we kind of come and glitch it with a basketball that falls and kind of create some sort of weird stuff. Um, and here I'm making a statue melt, obviously, which is a lot of work. I'm kind of pissed off because with Cinema 4D now you can do really cool things really easily, but I'm like, oh, I don't do that. And the problem is that this is a lot of work. Basically, what we had to do was we had to 3D print a Greek statue, and we had to use the physical shape of it to mold it and recreate it out of 6 kilos of white chocolate for an effect that, it's highly experimental. Again, I don't know if this is going to melt or not. And all this is just for 2 seconds of screen time. So it's like, anyway, it's kind of slightly masochistic as well. But yeah, recently I've been having, fun exploring new techniques and mediums. So this is an art installation I did for an art show for Chromatic in Paris. And it's like a tennis game between two players where every single fraction of a second is suspended physically in time. And then what we do is we take a projector and we kind of bring the sculpture to life, basically, using a technique called projection mapping, who obviously I'm sure a lot of you guys know. Give it some animation. So here's the film. It creates a sort of surreal tennis game. So this is me going in front of the camera, so I'm pretending that people actually came to see it. Uh, but anyway, actually, there's a new version of this at C2 right now. I've spent like 4 days living in the dark trying to build a new version of this. So if ever you guys are going to C2, come and check it out. I also experimented a bit with 3D printed animation, which means you kind of create 3D simulations. Then we 3D print them. We 3D print each step of the animation. Then we paint each model to give it a bit of detail. And then we film it for real, which is fun. But what's really cool is that each deformation was it was created using the actual sound waves of the object you're looking at. So this is actually the sound that a bass would do, just inverted. And this is an accurate 3D simulation of what a kick drum sound is like, just channeled visually in different ways and kind of slowed down. So all this to create kind of instruments that get kind of physically deformed by the sounds they make, which is pretty funky. All this using 3D printing. And in the spirit of experimentation, this is a sort of a DIY box that has spinning lights and camera attached to it. If you turn it too fast, you go back in time. And then, once the box is finished, we play with it like adults because we're really professionals. And then in this case, we were professionals that were hired by Apple to make a new experimental film for the iPhone 6S. So here's the film. So basically, everything's attached together, right? So the lights, the camera, everything's kind of moving at the same speed. So you have the impression that nothing is moving, but the contents of the box itself. So what was really cool is that you could kind of play with creating shapes in the box, and we had like tons of different objects that we tried out. And I was like, oh, I'm a designer. I want to play with this sort of weird Memphis pattern, and I want to kind of create that physically with like the objects colliding in the box. So we tried it. We used some glass tubes as molds, and we made these sort of weird jelly snakes, which which is actually really satisfying to play with. Um, and so yeah, then we are like, let's try it. In my head, it was going to be amazing, really cool. And then, in the end, it was it was a big disaster. I kind of refer to them as like clown's intestines. It's like really disgusting. Uh, and then we had to take the whole box apart and repaint it, and scrape off the sugar slime. It was just horrible. But it was a fun project. It was fun to kind of experiment with things. Again here, I guess curiosity brought me to want to play with the 360 medium, which is really fun. And I wanted to make like a music video that focused on I guess focusing on the music itself rather than telling a story, and focusing on each instrument and like filling the room with these weird instruments that you could kind of turn around and look at. So this is called the Future Music. This is a mood board I sent to the client for the, for the music video. It's basically, I wanted to make like human-powered instruments. So, someone jumping on a large inflatable shape with spikes on his ass. It's not that complicated. Oh, to create a kick drum sound as well. And I was just imagining the future music. I don't want it to be all digital. I want us to use our full body movement to create music, not just our hands, because in the future we're going to have like virtual reality chat rooms and drone deliveries and stuff like that. So you need to be active. And this is what my kick drum ended up looking like, which is really fun. And yeah, he does have spikes on his bottom, which is cool. My dream came true. So this is how we made the suit, obviously with a customized butt cushion. This is my intern from the Netherlands, who, when I gave her that task, she kind of looked at me like, okay. And this is my friend Will, who you're going to see in a sec, for those of you who know him, Will Vincent, who was sick and who came down to wear the suit. Thank you, Will. An experiment. And I mean, obviously, these are, we haven't tested these before, so maybe the spikes, I don't know what happens. And this is what happened, actually.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Did the spikes go into your butt?
I love it. British producers, everyone. They're so like, oh, are you? So anyway, this is my snare sound. Boom. So that was fun. Another lucky volunteer who wanted to come and crash through sugar glass. And it ended up looking like this.
Have you ever heard of King Midas? Magic touch, crisp snare.
Wow. All right. And this is my, I recognize that laugh. This is my melodic percussion, which is basically a guy crushing ice cream cones with his head horizontally on a sort of Escher-esque staircase. It's kind of weird. And then he crawls back up the stairs, watch this, and then back again. So this is another day at the office. I'm kind of trying out the technique, which obviously doesn't work, and then I'm like, oh, okay, how do we do this? And this is my synthesizer sound. And I was inspired by dubstep for this. Dubstep for me always sounded like a jammed vacuum cleaner, like the. So I was just like, okay, well, why don't we visualize it with a guy who's like sucking toilet rolls with a vacuum cleaner? That would be paying homage to the dubstep bass. So this is it. Look at that performance. Look at that performance. So, it's another friend wondering what the meaning of life is at that very moment. Just kind of in his thing. And this is like a water drip sound, because if you're making, contemporary minimal electro without a water drip sound these days, it's not cool, guys. So I just imagined this girl kind of going through the wall and, like something you could really follow easily in 360 that would be kind of interesting. and she's actually also the reason why the snare falls at some point. Becomes a bit crazy. But most importantly, this is our genius composer. You know, if you make a 360 film, you need someone to guide you and take you by the hand a bit. Otherwise, you're just kind of left at your own devices. So the point was to create a mockumentary about a genius composer who stayed in the shadows because he had a very powerful gift, is that he could create gravity-defying GIF-looped human instruments, which sounds like a simple premise. And so he's the one kind of bringing us across the room, and in this mockumentary, it was kind of the first time we were granted access to his studio. And he's wearing this kind of weird pajama thing because he's kind of a recluse character. So this is a quick extract from the film.
You call yourself music's biggest revolution since Baroque. What exactly do you mean?
Well, for instance, this is the origin of grime music. I'm Carré Bleu. I'm the future of music.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing is, this guy, he's an 85-year-old retired theater actor who came down for free on a train for a day and a half. And the worst part is, I wanted him to walk on eggs barefoot to create a new sound, like a to be like GIF looped as part of the film. And then my producer was just like really mad at me all of a sudden. He's like, Greg, you can't force an 85-year-old man to walk barefoot on eggs. And it kind of became my best, like, oh, this is the best reply I've ever heard in my life. It sounds so weird. This is really cool. But it was definitely my longest project in terms of planning, in terms of designing, you know, like everything about it is kind of made to make you want to look everywhere in a sense, you know, because at least when it came out, there's a lot of VR stuff where you'd kind of look behind you and there was a wall or there's just like not. So we kind of wanted it to be kind of engaging in that sense. But after that, I bought a cheap headset, you know, and I wanted to show the film to my friends because you always look super cool wearing like Gear VR. And I just became fascinated by how stupid people look wearing these things, you know. And I had friends like walking in walls when, you know, you're not even supposed to move in mine, but they were just like crashing in my furniture and stuff. So I came up with some like genius ideas to create some really useless virtual reality games. I like walking up a circular staircase in VR. Boom. So that was pretty fun. And I made a music video where people are dancing. They're doing a choreography to the beat, but they're not aware of it. They think, you know, they're just playing weird VR games and by accident creating a disco routine, you know, which is pretty cool. Or clapping to the beat, you know. It's fun. It's pretty cool. Stomping to the beat. I mean, it was a kind of a crazy music video. And all this, it was like the worst VR party imaginable that I wanted to reproduce. So it's like an office party for people who sell energy drinks. So everyone had a limitless supply of energy drinks and we're kind of like, ah, kind of going at it for hours and hours on end. And the protagonist falls in love with this virtual woman. And it gets really dark, as with a lot of my work. It always goes to that dark place. And then he falls in love, and then there's a car accident. Yeah, anyway, you know. So anyway, it was cool. Like, we went to shoot this in Tel Aviv, and I ended up coming back with some pretty epic making of pictures. This is our lead actor here taking a break. He was really cool. So anyway, yeah, you know, this is me like crushing ice cream cones with a cap. And I guess, you know, I've been really lucky. You know, I've been making a lot of short films and like having fun and getting friends involved and trying to do that as a living. But you know, I was in Montreal for a lot of it, and then I moved to London, which is a whole different ball game. So the next project I'm gonna tell you, which is the last one, is the one that kind of allowed me to continue to survive and experiment and kind of have fun as a kind of full-time job. So the project is called Fortunes, and it kind of talks about, you know, how I came to London with my pregnant girlfriend at the time, and we had like zero money, and she was due in a month, and I was working from home on a project for Montreal for Studio Eloi, and I couldn't go out I was stuck at home all the time working, and it was really frustrating, and it was a very small apartment, and I developed this sort of cabin fever where, monotonous daily tasks kind of turned into kind of weird, surreal, strange ideas. But I think most importantly, I was about to become a father. I had no money left. I felt very kind of vulnerable and unconfident, and I'm like, okay, well, how am I gonna provide? How am I gonna make a living? And at the same time, I'd been out of a regular job for years and years. If I went back, I don't know what I would do. I would, ask me to switch a light bulb on, and I'll probably mess it up. I was just really out of time. So anyway, Fortunes is a film about this sort of pivotal moment in my life, kind of expressed graphically through strange little vignettes. So
This
here it
prediction of your future is sorely speculation.
Any resemblance to your own ambitions, whether dead or alive, are purely non-coincidental. Thank you for dreaming.
Fortunes, an experimental comedy on our relationship with consumerism, household rituals, and our objects of worship. Every day.
Ah.
そしてマイカーで簡単にお持ち帰りといってもマイカー持ってきてません。そして気になるアイテムの場所メモチェック
Free yourself from every day.
Ah.
Is like a repetition. Repetition. Free yourself from modern slavery.
Oh.
I walked into my bathroom. Shave every day. 3 nights I clean. Shave every day.
Every day. Fuck. Fuck. Repetition. 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 Every day. Fuck. Every day.
I have a sad story to tell you. It may hurt your feelings a bit. Last night when I walked in.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I guess I owe you a bit of an explanation after such a, intro monologue that was about me representing my experience in London. Again, I was about to become a father. It was really scary. I was eating a lot of takeout food, Chinese takeout food with those fucking motivational slogans that are just like, you're gonna be great. And when you're not in a good period, time in your life, it actually sucks to hear that. So this is what basically these fortune cookies are. It's like my inner voice telling me to get myself together. So this is a direct interpretation of the slogan. It's like the IKEA man trying to put himself together, but he doesn't have any head, so he has no vision, and he's just kind of like, So that's kind of how I felt arriving in London. Opportunity lies on the other side of your door, and obviously if you're willing to open it, and I was stuck at home all the time, so this is like a metaphor of like me being frustrated by the fact that I had to stay in my apartment to do post-production work. And, I started becoming quite hairy, which is fun, and you always look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, damn, like, what's going on? So again, this is all like, weird metaphors. Waiting for the birth of my daughter, becoming very anxious, time, money, what's happening. Watching a lot of TV shows as well, when I should have been working or doing, more productive things. And the bathroom. So we were in a tiny apartment, and my partner has Japanese parents. So I have a whole Japanese step family that's coming all the time in our tiny apartment. It's like, and they're very meticulous and putting everything in order and taking, my coffee while I'm drinking it and trying to clean the cup. And I'm like, So I started loving being in our bathroom. It was like a quiet, cold place. I could be myself. There was no noise. So, and they are a bit intense, these guys. So this is my sort of portrayal. So again, it's all very cryptic, obviously, But yeah. So anyway, this film was done with £100. So it's like $180 maybe. Definitely my cheapest project. I did everything myself because I just arrived in London and I knew no one. So I did, the props, the camera, the lights. Actually, my friend Alex helped me with the edit. Booyah! Thank you. But apart from that, and it's crazy, I had, of course, friends come over when they were hungover and try some grass masks on. But this film ended up winning first prize at Cannes at the Young Director Awards. And it's crazy, because I made this film in my living room with my cat destroying my props and my baby screaming in the next room and my Japanese stepmother coming in and coming out of my set with the light change and everything was like, So, with that image in mind, I'm kind of going to receive my prize for a film that's like so homemade, and that's light years away from being professional and it's crazy. And this film, honestly, it changed my life in London, Instead of getting a regular job, I got representation, and it allowed me to continue doing what I do. So I'll always be grateful, for that time of like despair and creating something from it. And, kind of happy I chose to invest my last £100 in grass masks and spray-painted TV antennas. Because it kind of allowed me to be here in front of you guys. So yeah, thank you.